Hello, everyone. I was thinking about recently that writers and other creative individuals really do need community centers, places where they can congregate and gather in person, because it's very difficult, especially creative individuals who live in rural areas, to find such places. Now, I know some people say, "Oh, just go to church." Well, here's the thing: is that, of course, there are various different kinds of churches, and many of them, aren't for everybody. And there are various denominations with different beliefs, and many churches operate more like country clubs than spiritual gatherings. But even if you do have a church where you feel spiritually fulfilled, where you can relate spiritually to the other people around you, that doesn't mean that you have found an area where you can relate to other people on a creative level. And I think that's what's really missing in our society, especially for people who live in rural areas, people who can't go on a regular basis to large cities where there may be such facilities available. So if it were up to me, if I had an endless amount of resources, I would create a chain community center. Places in small towns, rural areas where writers and other artists and creative individuals could go congregate and gather. And it would be a kind of place with various activities. It would be a kind of place where there could be like a lounge where writers and artists could gather. There could be critique groups offered for people who desire that kind of thing, or there could be lecture halls where writers could get up and give lectures about their work. That's something that I would definitely take advantage of. Um, there could be again various activities. There could be classes that could be taught on writing and other things, and this would just be a very large community center. Now you may ask, well, how could such a thing be paid for? Well, before I get to that, there could also be, for example, bookstores where people could where authors in that community could sell their work, and which I think would go for paying for the center itself. And you could also have a section with more popular authors, which could also help pay for the community. And you could also have memberships where someone could pay a fee to get in. Now, I wouldn't want any because this would be a kind of club. Now, I personally would not want any kind a fee to be too expensive because I think this should be a place where any kind of author or artist could gather. And authors and artists tend to be very poor individuals, so the membership fee wouldn't be any more than, let's say, $1, because which most people can come up with $1 even if they're just scrambling for change. And this could be something that you could pay with a card, or you could just put your dollar in a bucket every month, and the community would also rely on donations as well. And but I also think that money could come from food. That food and drink could be served at these community centers, and they could be paid for it that way. But other than a very small fee to get in, I wouldn't want people to pay for the critique groups or the lectures or the congregating or anything like that. I want all of that to be free because would want people to have as much access as possible. Now there may be certain specialized classes that may have an extra fee, but most of it I would want to be free, for the essential things, other than maybe a very small fee to get in, which wouldn't be a lot for most people. And but I just think it's very sad and unfortunate that we don't have these kinds of places where writers can gather and congregate in person. We have plenty of places like that online, but not in person. And so I just think this would be a very wonderful thing to do. But unfortunately, I don't have any kind of money or resources to get something like that going. But I think it's something that's desperately needed, in a society where people are becoming more and more socially isolated, where people don't really have places where they can go and meet with each other when they have common interests. And I know colleges can offer such activities, but the thing is that I would want this to be a community center where the average person could go, the person who isn't in school, the person who doesn't have a lot of money. You shouldn't have to pay any kind of expensive tuition to get in. So I just think this would be a wonderful idea, but it's something that many writers, especially if they live in rural or remote areas, simply don't have access to.